Good evening, whoever's here. Just setting up, getting it all in motion. Okay. Hook and my clippers, pointer, and set up. Double check my ready then. I'll wait till a little more people come in before I start getting into tonight's stream fully. Alrighty, let's get my thing going. Brush the alrighty. Well, I guess I can start. I don't know if everyone's here. One more thing I gotta check. Is that acting weird? Okay. Hopefully some people will come in. Let me get started. Corner to corner. I need to kind of half asleep today. But we're not gonna let that slow us down. I don't want to get into teaching yet until everyone's here that wants to learn the stitch. Let me refresh one more time. Oh, there's a delay in that. shouldn't be showing my phone on stream. You didn't miss anything. I'm just getting everything set up. I was kind of waiting before I got into it. Oh, welcome, Grammy. Alrighty then. So I guess we can start into this. So last week, you all hear me okay? I've been changing the lighting a little bit, so hopefully it won't be as much of a shadow. Why is that flickering? Okay. So last week we did solid color corner to corner, and that was just to get you established on the stitch pattern. And that can be reviewed. But I wanted to show real quick how to read a pattern, even though it's all solid before we get into doing the colors tonight. The main thing is the direction that you're going to go. It doesn't really matter when you're doing solid, all one color. But when you do row 1, you kind of go, it doesn't really matter which direction you go in. But when you do the first square, you kind of have to think of it, you're going in this direction. And I need a better marker. You can't see the pen. That you would go in that direction. Okay? Then you would form the stitch normally, but the row would go in that direction. So then when you flip, you're always going to be going right to left or left to right, depending if you're left or right-handed. So the row's always going to go that way, just like in regular crochet. But you kind of have to, when you follow the pattern, you're going to follow back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So then the other row, the even rows, are going to go in that direction. So if you look at it this way, all the odds are going to go one way, the evens are going to go the other. So row 3, all of row 3 will go that way. And then so on for row 4, you're going to go opposite. That's the important part, because when it gets to adding the colors, changing, you have to keep that in mind. So tonight, we are going to do a simple heart, corner to corner. And let me cut this down a bit. I didn't want to do anything complicated to start with. So, if you notice on our original, I don't know if it really matters if it has to go left to right or right to left. You just have to be consistent. You know, when you're doing regular rows, if you look at a pattern, if you have a diagram, it doesn't really matter. Because when you're finished, it's reversible. There's no right or wrong side. So I don't think it really matters when you're reading the pattern. It's still all going to work out when you have it done. So our original was 7 by 7. Okay. Your sample could have been smaller. My original pattern 7 by 7. Didn't really matter when it was solid. And I did both of these on stitch fiddle. So this pattern is 12 high by 13 across. So we're gonna kind of zoom in. It's showing up yellow. My printer's out of magenta ink, so this is supposed to be red. Don't worry about what the color is on here. So when we start tonight, we're going to start with white. or whatever color you have if you're going to stitch along. But the beginning of it, you're going to do normal, like if it's because it's all one color. So you're going to go in one direction, and then row 2, you're going to go the opposite. Row 3, row 4, row 5, row 6, row 7, and row 8. Because with this, just this pattern, each pattern is going to be different on how you do it. But if you notice, row 8 are all going to be white. So when I'm drawing the line, I'm drawing it through the center of the square. So if you're going to stitch along, I would recommend just keep going like normal. And if it takes us an hour or whatever to get to this point, we're going to go a total of 8 rows on each side. The other thing you got to keep in mind, and this is where it's important, when we're doing this, it's all white. So you're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. When you get to the end of row 8, you're going to be here. You're going to be this square. So when you do row 9, you're going to do a square here and a square here. But then you got yellow. So you will switch colors. And when I get into showing when we get to it, because we got to stitch a lot to get there. When we do change colors, we're going to drop a color. We're actually going to drop the tail. We're not going to cut anything off. We're going to drop it behind the work and pick up our new color. And we'll do our new color for a series of that's 5 of them. So that'll be our yellow. So then when we get to the yellow, and it'll make more sense when I'm actually showing you the stitching part when we get to that. When we get to yellow here, the last yellow, when we're finished that square, we're going to drop that working yarn down on the back side. Just let it drop. We're going to pick up white again. But our white was up here. We can't pick up this white that was over here, because if we try to, it's going to show through. And there's no real good way to get it down here. It's going to be too difficult to weave it in as you're going. So what you're going to need is a second bobbin or small ball of white for this side. It sounds complicated. The more detailed and complicated pattern you have, your actual pattern, you might have multiple bobbins of one of the same color. So you have to think ahead. You look at it, you're like, okay, we're going to travel and travel. So then all of this is fine. And then this ball of yarn that started here, when you started, is actually going to be the ball of yarn you're going to use on the top half. Just for this instance. Each pattern is going to be different. You got to think ahead. So the ball of yarn in this white that was here, it's actually going to be the white that's going to be on the top part. You're going to have a second ball of the same color on here. So you're going to end up dropping and picking up colors as you go. It'll make more sense when we get into this. So my example, and I got to zoom out. It's this pattern. Again, white is white. Yellow is actually supposed to be red. But this is the finished piece. There's some imperfections because I'm relatively new at corner to corner. But we've got our heart in it. And if we flip it over, it's the same. So, if we want to start, if you got yarn together, or if you just want to watch, that's fine. So I know for this pattern, for this heart pattern, I'm going to need 2 balls of white. They don't have to be huge balls. I just took one large and cut it in half. Or if you already have 2 skeins, go from there. So we're going to just start with white, and then when we get done the 8th row, then the 9th row is when we're going to get into the color change. And I've got my red. If you have another pattern, let's say there was a white center to the heart, where there was a couple squares here. Well, in that case, you would need the one ball of yarn to do the beginning and one side of the heart, another for here, and then a third for the center. So the more color changes that alternate, even though it's between the same colors, you have multiple bobbins. Now, it might sound complicated. So for starting, we're just going to do 8 rows in whatever color you have. I'm using white. And since I'm using white, I'm going to move the white background. And we're just going to do corner to corner. First part of this stream, I guess it's going to be kind of chill because it's stuff we learned last week. But again, if you need a refresher on corner to corner, okay, that's fine. Do you need a new a refresher on corner to corner, or did you want me to wait for you? I didn't get anything to drink. Let me move my marker out of the way. I'll wait because I don't know if she's gonna need a refresher on how to do corner to corner. In the meantime, how's everyone else? And anybody who's here lurking and who's new, welcome. I'm the Crafty Cub, mostly crochet and occasionally some other types of crafts. If you want to know how to do corner to corner the stitch, last Saturday I did the basic intro to the stitch, and I don't know if it might not still be up here on Twitch, but it is on my YouTube channel, and the link is below in the description of my channel, so you can check that out. Refresh that screen. Okay. Did you need a refresher on how to do corner to corner? The actual stitch? I mean, I'm going to be stitching along. I've got 8 rows, so it's going to be a little while. I wanted to do a basic pattern, and I didn't want to be too intricate right off the bat, so that's why there's a lot of practice for the before we get to the color change. I'll go over the basics real quick. You start with a slip knot on your hook. You chain 3, and I move my thumb and my middle finger up and hold the 3rd chain. Yes. Chain 6, double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook, and then the next 3 chains do a double crochet into each of them. So I always do 3, move my thumb and middle finger up to hold it, because that's, so you're not counting. So that's going to be the 4th chain, because we're going to do 3 more. Then we're going to double crochet into the one we were holding on to. And then the next 2 chains, we'll get double crochets into each of them. And that is row 1 is done. You're always going to have the corner and this tail pointing towards you. So now we flip, and we're going to chain 3, move our thumb and middle finger to hold the 3rd chain, and then do 3 more. This is how you do an increase. And we're going to, again, double crochet in the 4th from the hook, which is the one we're holding on to, and double crochet into each of the next 2 chains. And we got these 2 little weird looking squares. We're going to join them together by a slip stitch into that first chain stitch, that chain space that's here. Just slip stitch them together. So again, to refresh, we've done when you get to the end of the first row, which would be that first square, you're going to flip and chain 6. This is the first row, okay? So when you're done the first row, you'll be just like this. You'll flip, chain 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, because you're increasing. Anytime you're increasing, meaning row 1 had 1 square, row 2 has 2, the next one's got 3 and 4, so you're increasing. You're getting bigger. Your row, because our rows are diagonal, when you're increasing, you're going to do 6. And then you're going to double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook, and a double crochet into each of the next chains. So we've done the first, that's row 1. Row 2 is the first square is done. So we got row 1 done. And if you have a chart, I know you probably don't have a chart in front of you, because I didn't like give you a file to print ahead of time. But row 1 is done. The first square on row 2 is done. And now we're going to join those 2 squares together by a slip stitch. So row 1's done, the first of row 2 is done. And now after we've joined them together, now we're going to do chain 3 for the next square, and then do 3 doubles into that chain space on the edge of that square. And then when we get to the end of that, that's the end of row 2. And then we're going to flip, and we're going to increase, because we're going to do row 3. 3, 4, 5, 6. Double crochet into the 4th. Double crochet into each of the next 2. Again, this was all from last week. So if you're not following along currently, If you're not stitching along currently, you can review that. But if you are following, so you continue doing the same thing. We're now going to join those two together with a slip stitch. That's the basic, that's the stitch pattern for the corner to corner. So for the next square, you chain 3. We got to fill in this square now. Those chain 3 will give us the height that we need. And now we do 3 doubles into the chain space of the edge of that square. So you're going to continue doing this to increasing. That's fine, whatever. If you want to chain 6 and then flip, or if you want to flip and then chain, it's up to you. Whatever is more comfortable. So you're going to continue this until you have 8 squares on each side. So that's 8 rows. Because when you're increasing, the number of the row is the number of squares in the row until you start decreasing. So now I got 4, I mean not 4, 3, or 3 is done. Your second square was to the right of the first one? You didn't turn, you didn't flip. So you mean this square here, the second of the second row? Okay. It's however you can make it where, again, your very first row is your corner here. So that's row 1. You want 1 here and 1 there. You don't want 1 here and 1 here. So however you can get it to flip. Okay. So you can continue that. I have 3 rows. Continue until you have 8. Um, Three. It's probably going to be a quiet week because we don't have 2 of our regulars in here. They're on vacation. But that's fine. We'll still continue along. Okay. Yeah, I don't do the camel bump on the back when I do corner to corner. I just go through the 2 loops on the front side of the chain. I don't go through the camel hump. Some people do. It's however you can get it to work. So I just got 4, and just keep working until you have 8 rows for this specific pattern. And if you're if you make rows slower than I do, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's good practice to get the stitch pattern for the squares. Three. Okay, I've done 5 rows. Three. What do you mean end of second square? What row are you on? Anytime you, hold on. When you've got the square done, anytime you're going to join a square to another square, you don't go into the double crochet, you go into the chain space. And that's where you slip stitch. Row 2. Oh, here, yeah. So, and it's the same. I'm further along, but it's the same. No, that's fine. So you got the 2 here. Anytime you're going to join it, you're going to go into that same chain space that you're going to actually do your double crochets into. You're never going into a specific stitch. The only time you do that is when you're going into the chain to build your first square of each row, or if you're decreasing. Just like a granny square, you go into the no, granny square is different. You do slip stitch into the tops of doubles and chains. B, you're just going into that chain space. Don't make it harder. Okay. So what I just did right now, and even if you're further back, it's the same process. I've slip stitched to join my these 2 squares where my thumbs are. I've joined those together. I've slip stitched them. Now we're going to chain 3. That gives our height for, and then we're going to put a square in here. And then into this chain space, the same plate space we slip stitched into, we're going to do 3 double crochets. So we've chained 3. After we'll slip stitch them together, slip stitch the 2 squares together to join them, chain 3, and then we're going to double crochet 3 times into that chain space. That 3 double crochet you do on the edge counts that 3 chains that you first do on the edge counts as a double crochet. So again, I got 2 squares that need to be joined. Go into the chain space of the next square, slip stitch, chain 3. Those 3 count as our first double crochet, and then do 3 actual double crochets. Yes, because we're still increasing. Anytime the number is getting bigger, again, our chart, I don't know if you can see it, it goes 1 to 12 on one side and 1 to 13 on the other. So we're going to be increasing, and then when we get to the other part, which we're not there yet, we'll decrease. Anytime you increase, the numbers get bigger, you're going to chain 6. Okay. And again, anybody who's watching that's in here just lurking, which is fine. Hopefully this is making sense if you follow or know anything about crochet. Oh, okay, that one didn't turn out right. I gotta do that square over again. Join it. 2, 3. Three, then do 3 doubles. The same thing, same stitch pattern over and over. This isn't really focusing on the actual stitch. It's all the color work that's going to happen. We just got to get to the point where we're going to change colors. Five, 6, 7. Okay, I got one more row to go. And if you're still further behind, that's okay. After I'm done this row, I can take a little rest and break. I got to go get something to drink because I wasn't prepared. I've just been achy and tired all day today for some reason. I don't know why. the yarn. Oh, 2, 3. A lot of counting to threes in this. 3 chains, 3 double crochets. You increase, it's 2 sets of 3 chains. I'm at 8 right now. Again, if you're far behind, if you're only in row 3, that's fine. Take your time. I'm going to go get a drink. I'll be right back. Turn. Here's me. Not good to yawn on stream, but But yeah, I'll just sit and chill and wait until you caught up to the nope, take your time, it's fine. I don't know if anybody else is stitching along with us. And this is the smallest project I can come up with to do this. I didn't want to do anything too large and involved. So I know it takes some time for people to crochet it. So what's Grammy working on? Eight, yes, 8 rows. Cool. I really like those colors. And again, anybody who's new, welcome. We're just working on corner to corner crochet, adding colors. Hey, Seagam. Actually, right now I'm not crafting at all. I'm just waiting for someone to catch up to where I'm at. Cinderella is crocheting along with me. Oh, I'm already almost an hour in. I haven't started. I'm well past started. I'm well into it. Uh, you're my comic relief because two of our regulars aren't going to be here this week, so that helps with the keeping me on my toes. Yeah, they went on vacation. So what's going on, Seagam? Yeah, I know you roll your eyes. Well, that's pretty much what my stream is. Well, one edge, count how many squares you got. Count how many squares are in your diagonal row. That will tell you what row you're on. Okay. Well, some point did you want to be a guest star and we can have a crochet-a-thon and see who's the better crocheter? Going oh, you're going into the bumps? You don't have to go into the bumps. I can only imagine Seagam crocheting. Hmm. Well, even if they're on the outside, you can always twist the square so that that first square is going the correct way. If you're the edge chain where when you increase, if it's twisted like a half twist, it's fine. But whatever works, whatever you can get to this finish the same result. Late night crochet. I don't know about late. other color ready. That'll be happening soon. I know this is thrilling. I needed to chill out anyway. I needed a chill show, I should say. Because, I'm sleepy. Okay, take your time. At least it's not a complicated stitch. It's just repeating over and over and over and over again. That you're not doing any front post and back post and front loop and back loop and no triples and half doubles and this and that. No, it's pretty basic stuff. And if we don't finish this whole square tonight, that's fine. We can always pick it up later. But I just want to definitely get into the next few rows of the color changes. What's triple toe cowdill? Is that a typo? Or has Grammy gotten into the wine? Oh, okay. Yeah. No triple toe, cowdill, sow cow, no axles, none of that. Doubles and chains and slips. Excuse me. Okay, it's got 8 rows. We're gonna set the work to the side. We're gonna focus on the chart. And again, I know you don't have the chart in front of you, but to recap, row 1 we went one direction, row 2 we go the other. So it's back and forth. So row 1 we went up, row down, 2, up, down, up. Wait a minute, down, wait, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Hold on, let me double check. Yeah. Row 8 we did down. Okay? So it might not look on your work because your work doesn't have a front or a back. It's the same on both sides. But if we're following the chart, row 8 went from here all the way down to here. So now we're down here at row 9. And row 9 on this chart calls for 2 whites. So do 2 whites like normal. But don't join the second white. So chain, 6, and flip. Again, you're just going to add, on row 9, we're going to add 2 squares. But don't slip stitch the second square. That out of the way. Okay, so we got two on the row 9. We got our first 2 done. So if you have a chart, and again you don't, but I always like the white. This part here didn't this part didn't matter because it was all the same. But when I get into this, I have been marking off the squares I do. So I did 2 of the white. Now we're ready for the color change. So you're going to start the slip stitch. So go into the next square like you normally would do a join, and bring up a loop and 2 on the loop. I mean 2 on the hook. Put 2 on the hook. Don't complete the slip stitch. What we're going to do is after we have 2 on the hook of the starting the slip, we're going to drop the white below. Let it hang underneath the work and pick up your next color. Don't knot it. You're going to join like you normally would join. So you're going to loop it around the hook and bring it in and finish it off. Okay? So we're leaving the white, our first color, letting it drop down below. Let it hang. We're going to tighten up the loops. And we're going to add our second color in like you normally would join. And the thing to remember here is the tail of the second color. So in our case red, or my case red, I don't know what color you're using. So in the tail, you're going to hold it with the work right along here of the next square. You're going to do our 3 chains with the new color, because again we're making a square with the new color. Our working yarn of the white is dropped, and then once we've made our 3 chains, and you can't really see in the red, but there's 3 chains there, you're going to keep the tail, the short tail, alongside this square, the square you're going to work into. And when you do your doubles, you're going to stitch over not only the white part of the square, but also your tail. That way it's less things to weave in. And you're going to do your square in your new color. And you might want to just pull and tighten up that white yarn, but just let it hang underneath. So underneath, that's the other side. It's hanging. It's just going to hang down below. And set your ball of yarn, your white yarn, to the side. So in this pattern, we got 5 squares of the red. Even though it's yellow here, it's red. So then you can take the tail if you want after you've made your first square and you've tucked it in all your stitches. You've wove it in as you went. If you want to, you can run it along the side of the second square and tuck it in when you do the next square. Or if you feel comfortable with it only being secured under those 3 double crochets, it's up to you. You can let it hang and trim it as you go. So does that make sense? You're going to drop your first color and you're going to finish the join, the slip stitch join, with the new, and then chain 3 with the new and do 3 doubles, but trapping your tail in with your stitches. Hope that makes some sense. there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the yellow or red, of your second color, whatever it is. I'm doing red, whatever color. So there's going to be 5 of this pattern, the pattern that I made. You might have another pattern that's going to show differently. So I've got 5. And what we're doing is this side of the heart here, the bottom side of the heart. So we're going to do 5 of them. And the whole time, your first color's still attached, but further along. So it's over. Just let it hang. Let it just chill. The more color changes you have, the more bobbins you're going to have hanging and all connected. And when I mean color changes, anytime it goes from one color to the next. So we're going to have 2 color changes in this, from white to red, and then red back to white, and vice versa until we get on the heart. But it's 5 of your second color. And again, when you get there, you do your 5 of your second color and don't join yet. Yes. So once you get your 5 of your red or your second color, that's where the second ball of your first color comes into play, because we're following our chart here. We had white on this side. That was our original ball, but we can't take our original ball and travel it up there because you're going to go through all of these. So that's why we need a second one of the same color, and then we're going to join the second white just like we joined the red here. So for this one, when you get to that point, you're going to start the slip stitch with the red. So you got 2 on the hook. You're going to let the red hang behind, and then pick up your next color, which happens to be white again, but it's a different ball. And you're going to finish the join. Again, red is hanging below. Join with the second white. And same thing. Use your tail. Don't cut the red. You're not cutting anything until the very end. Don't cut the red, because you're going to need the red again for the return, for when you come back again. So you're going to let it hang. Don't cut the red. Don't cut anything. So when you join the second white, we have a new tail, because it's a new ball. So you're going to line that along with the chain space from the square, and you're going, when you go to do your doubles, you're going to stitch over the chain space like normal and your tail to lock it in. And with this pattern, well, not singles, with this pattern, we're going to do 2 more of the white. meaning 2 more squares, 2 more white squares. So when you get done that, it's going to look like that. You have 2 white, 5 red, and 2 white. But on the back side, you'll have, I'm not counting these little cut-in tails because those have already been secured for when you change colors. But you'll have a white here. That was your original white, your original color, and it's still connected because we're going to need this when we get to that end of the square. And we have our red because we're going to need it when we get to the next row of the heart. Plus, we got our second white, what we just was using. So that's row 9 in this pattern. There could be other patterns. You might change colors sooner. After you get to that point, back to our chart, remember our odd rows are going in one direction and our even in the other. So in our case, in my case, our odd numbers were going up. So when we flip, we're not going to flip yet, but when we do, we're going to do 2 of the white, and then we'll pick the red up again. So we're up here now. So our second bobbin or ball of white is going to do the top part of the square, and our original ball of white is going to do the bottom part in this specific pattern. If we had a bigger pattern, okay, when you drop pink and went with first color, so the working yarn from the ball is kind of loose, that's fine. Because when we go back, we can tighten it up as we go. We're going to pick up that pink again. Yeah, you're going to end up putting some tension on it when you go to use the pink again. The main thing you want to do is when you start it to lock it, when you lock it in, lock that tail in. Yeah. How many different colors? I mean, you can do as many as you want. I've seen ones that they've had probably like 10 different colors. It gets real complicated. And some of them, yes, you want more basic shapes, and depending how you want it, I've seen ones where each square, like it's real like mottled looking, like different tones, different shades of like browns or greens or whatever, and you're changing colors every 2 or 3 squares, which it looks pretty, but it could be a pain in the butt. So when we get to the end of row 9, when we flip, the best way, so you don't get everything all tangled, is the ball you just finished with. If you're right-handed, move it to the right. Okay? It's off camera, you can't see. But I'm moving the one I just finished with. I'm leaving my work where it is, moving that to the right. The second color, moving it next to the first one. Okay? So, let me see if I can show you. I can't zoom out much more. Yeah, here we go. So this is how I ended it. This was how I started the row, the middle of the row, the end of the row. So my work is still here. So I'm going to take the ball I just ended with, and I'm going to move it here. Then I'm going to take the next one and move it next to it, and then the other one will be here. So when I flip, you might have to do some moving some strands around. So now they're in the right position, so they're not all getting tangled up. That's where, if you have actual bobbins, you can get small bobbins for yarn if you're doing small amounts, or there might be other ways that you can, if you're doing a full ball or a mini ball like I'm doing here, that you can wrap it onto itself to keep it secure, so it's not going to be as tangled. So now all of your yarns, your working yarns, are on the front side. So we flipped. I mean, you can flip, but you can still, if you chain first, let me zoom in. I've already flipped, but if you chain first before you flip, you could still just move your fabric over like this and do your chain and then bring it in. So however it works for you. So this pattern with the same white, we're doing 2 of the whites, 2 squares. Why did that get twisted? Go back and fix that. Oh, you're a little ahead of me. 1, 2. And don't join the second one. I should have mentioned that. You can easily take that slip stitch out. The second one, don't join. 2. Okay. So now on my chart, I'm going to mark off the next 2. And now we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more of your second color. So the same thing. Now this is where it can kind of get a little tricky. I'm going to zoom in. So I'm going to join the squares together with a slip, but not finish it. Drop the white to the back, and I'm going to pick up the red. Now, it's in a weird position. It's down here. So we can pull it up and yarn over the white. Again, the white's hanging in the back. We've left the white alone. We've got it, the red, or in your case pink, is coming up there. We're going to just grab it and finish it. And now, when you finish the slip stitch, the red is going to be lying on top of your chain that you need to do the chain space on. So when you actually do your doubles, it's already going to be in position to be locked into place. And this is where you would pull up that second color if it was loose to add some tension on it. Okay, I can do that again. So we're going to join. So when we join with a slip, we don't finish the slip stitch. We just go in, pull up a loop, drop the white. We're done with white for right now. Okay. So again, to join, just like any other join, we're going to go in and pull up a loop for a slip, but we're not going to finish the slip. Drop the white below. I know the camera's a little blurry because I've zoomed in. So I've dropped it below. Now I'm going to pick up the yarn, my second color. It's already connected. So I'm going to pick up where it was connected and just yarn over with the second color and finish the slip stitch. So it's going to look like this. It's going to look wrong and look weird, but that's all going to be hidden by our stitches. So again, our white is hanging below, underneath. We're done with it with that one for now. And now you're gonna chain 3 like you would do your square. And now when you actually do your doubles, you're gonna go into that chain space, but you're actually gonna go over the chain from the white and the red strand, or in your case, pink. And you're gonna do your 3 doubles. 2 and 3. And I'm just gonna do one real quick. And that's how it's going to look. Yeah, you're going to have a little bit of color here, but when you join it, it's not going to be, it's going to be somewhat noticeable. There's no way of getting around some of it. So it's going to bleed over a little bit. And then you're going to do 5 of your second color. Again, you're going to do 5 on this pattern. 3. If you do a different shape, a different pattern, it's going to be different. You're going to have, it's whatever the chart will tell you where to put the color. And that 5th one of your second color, you're not going to finish the join because you're going to change colors. That's one now. So now I can mark 1, 2, 3, 4. I can mark on my chart. And you're going to do the same thing. You got 5 there. Now you're going to change colors. You're going to do the exact same join with your next color that's going to come along, which happens to be white again. Might help me for me to move this. It's a lot of white. Just every time you join, the color you're currently working on, you're going to drop to the back and then pick up the new one. Yeah, that's 5. The other thing is, and you don't have to do this now, but since you've already, from your previous row, you've locked in your tails, since they're on this side of the fabric, once they're locked in, you can trim the tail when you originally joined those balls to get them out of there, so it's less things hanging. Or you can wait to the very end, because they're already locked in for when you joined. Now, I'm going to join, and I'm changing color now, because we have 5 of our second color, and we're going back to our white, but our second ball of yolk. So, we're going to join white again, but it's the second ball, because one ball is on one side of it, one is on the other. So now we're going to start a slip stitch with your pink or red, or whatever your second color is. So we've started it here, we got 2 on the hook, drop the working yarn behind, pick up the next one because it's right there, yarn over and finish off that slip stitch with that next ball of yarn, and then do 3 squares. But again, when you join, when you actually do the square, when you do your doubles, you're going to stitch over the chain of the square there and that strand that's coming over. And that will hide that color transition. You'll hide it in your stitches. And you're going to do 3 of this color. Lost my pen. Off camera. Right, now you should finish out the row. And if things are a little loose, you can kind of tighten up those working yarns, but you'll end up doing that when you do the next row. So that was row 10. I can't zoom out anymore. Well, I can. But you're not, yeah, there we go. And what we've done so far, this is going to be the bottom, this is the very bottom point of the heart, which will correspond to here. So we've done those 2 rows of the heart and all the negative space around it. So once you get those 3 to finish out that row, we're going to flip again. Same thing. We're now going to take the ball we just ended on, which is over here, move it over here, and keep them in order so they're not all tangled. And then we can flip our work. Because if not, you're going to get lots of knots back and forth. You want me to flip it back over? Okay. Yeah, I just finished that row when I flipped it over. So now on this side, I've got working yarns for those, and then that's the end where I just finished. So just to show you, that's one side. Again, it's not finished yet, but that's one side. And if I flip it over, it looks the same. There's really no right or wrong side. I mean, yeah, you're going to have a weird stitch here and there, a little strand, but there's no right or wrong side with this because you're hiding your tails, and when you change colors, you're hiding them in stitches. So back to our chart, we've gone down. We can do those. And now on this chart, row 11 is three white, it'll be 3 white, and then when you're going to change colors, there'll be 6 pink or red, and wait a minute, then 2 white. So 3 white down here, 6 of the heart color, and then 2 more of the background. And that's how you do it. It just takes some thinking ahead and coordinating and dropping yarns and picking up the new color and managing a bunch of different bobbins or cakes or balls of yarn. If you have a pattern that's going to have a quick color change, let's say there's only, like at the center of the heart, for instance, let's say these 6 here, these 6 squares are white. I just get a small ball of yarn, maybe smaller than this, and maybe put it on a piece of cardboard. Yeah, in this pattern, I've got 3 white, 6 red, and then 2 white, because it's 11. It's row 11. We're going to have 11 squares. So again, if we got our center, let's say our center happens to be white, which it's not going to be. But if we have, you're only going to need a small amount of yarn of the white here, or whatever color, or if it's pink, or orange, or purple, whatever. You're going to have a small amount here, whatever it is. I would just get a small amount of yarn and put it on a piece of cardboard or anything small to wrap it. And you could even use a clothespin if you have small enough. Just wrap it around the clothespin and then use the clothespin to pinch the yarn so it doesn't come unraveled. So it's not rolling all across everywhere. So you could do it that way. You can actually buy yarn bobbins for corner to corner for any of this color work. Yeah, don't allow the cat to play with the bobbins, yeah. So, hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to do another row. We're going to do row 11. I'll finish out row 11, and then I think we're done for the night. And then we can always come and pick this up, like Tuesday evening after we did temperature blanket. We can come back to this. Since this is a sizable piece, this is 12 by 13, but there's a lot of changing back and forth. And this is only using 3 balls or bobbins. It's not that intricate and detailed. So for this pattern, 3 white, 6 of your heart color, and then 2 of your white. And that's just a pattern I came up with that I designed on Stitch Fiddle. I don't remember the name of the website. It's kind of like certain that that got all twisted. It's kind of like certain types of tapestry where you've got multiple colors and bobbins and stuff, and you don't cut, and it's just how it's all. I'm having issues now. Now my square is flipping the wrong way. Cinderella's giving me bad juju. That's what it is. Can't even go into the chain. Oh, okay. Duh, I got it. Great, so this is my third of the white. And now we're going to join. We're going to change colors. So we're going to drop that color and then pick up the heart color. Continue with that. And anytime you drop a color to change, that first color you drop will drop to the back. So when you flip it, it'll be in the front. It's just easier to have that so you're not worrying about working yarns on the front of your work. So it's 6 of the red. When we get done this row, we'll be just about halfway done. Second one. Come on. Fumble fingers. Can't get it to cooperate with me. So this is kind of like almost like that technique that I had mentioned before called intarsha, where you're just doing rows back and forth and you join a certain way. That uses bobbins too. But I think this might be a little bit easier to deal with than that. That's 3. Six of heart color. Now I'm changing colors. Now when you get up here, when you get to the end of, for this pattern, your white is going to be in a weird position. It's going to be down here, and you're going to go up there. So trying to get it in there might be a pain. You try to get it in as best as you can. Instead of the strand being there, it's down here. So you just get it in however you can get it in there. Okay. With that strand being the way where it's at, but okay. However you can get it to work. Now, well, you're not going to have a heart yet. You're only going to have a side. This here at the bottom, this is going to be the point of the heart. This here's the bottom of the heart. We haven't even touched the heart yet. We only have 3 rows of the heart. Got a whole lot more to the heart to go. Because again, we're working on diagonal rows. We're not working top to bottom or bottom to top. So that here, this is the end of row 11. This here is down here. And we ended up here. It's, what's the next row? I mean, if you want to do the next row, that's fine. I'm not going to do the next row tonight. I can send you the image here. The next row is 3 white. Oh, wait a minute. I got to mark this off. The next row is 3 white, 5 of the heart color, 4 white. 3 white, 5 heart, 4 white. Yeah, that's 12. Yeah, let me see here. I'm going to send you a picture of the, yes, yes, it does have blocks where it's white. It's real faint. It didn't print real dark, but the image I'm going to send you, it's not printed, but the image itself will have lines on it. It's just the way the printer printed it. Yeah, let me go into here and find the image. Yeah, it's not coming. It's also not showing up because of the camera. But Yeah, I sent it, and let's open this up. Let's get the display. There we go. Now you can see that it's got grid lines on it, but I sent you the actual picture on Facebook. Um, well, actually, what's going to happen, row 12, you can see my cursor moving, right? On the chart. It's in the upper right-hand corner. Hopefully you can see it moving. Row 12 will be 3. You're going to increase on the side because you're going from 11 to 12. You'll increase, so you're going to do your 6 chain and then do your square. So you do 3 of the white, though, and again, you can, it's kind of hard to mark it off when it's a picture, but if you have able to print it, you can mark it off. There'll be 6, I think it's 6. Did I say 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it'll be 3 white, 5 red, and then 4 white. And then when you get down to the bottom here, where it's 12, you're going to increase, because you're going to go to row 13. So you can increase and do your square. You do your chain 6 to increase, to make your square. And when you go back up the other way, you'll do 4 white, and that row will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the heart, and that will take you up to the top corner of the heart. And then you'll do 2 white for that row, and then you'll start decreasing on the top here, and then once you get down, then you'll start decreasing. So if you want, we can wait until the next time we do this, and I can walk you through it for the decreases, because it's not square, it's technically a rectangle, because it's 12 by 13. I need to mark. Yeah, we got to row. Yeah, we're on row 11 on the project. Okay. Okay. But yeah, that's what I think we'll do. Tuesday after after I'm done the temperature blanket Tuesday, because we always have extra time Tuesday evenings. Then we'll come back to. Yeah, but when you flip. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. See, you shouldn't have. Yeah, because when you flip, it's going to be tangled. Yeah. I wasn't thinking about that. Yeah, I should have thought ahead and told you not to do that, but again, that totally slipped my mind. That's why people usually make little bobbins or smaller cakes or balls for it. But I think that's it for tonight. I'm getting tired and my mouth is dry. I'm hungry. I didn't have dinner yet. Okay, well, at least if only the pink is in the grommet, that's not going to be tangled as much. You could still move the other 2 around. That over there. Let me move this into place. So I think that's it for tonight. Anybody who's new that's watching and lurking, you're always welcome. If you want to follow, then follow. My schedule is below, and check out my YouTube. The link is in the About section below. I upload them every night as soon as I'm done streaming. We'll be on tomorrow night, 8 Eastern, for part whatever, continuation of the temperature blanket. No. Don't worry about hogging the stream. You're doing a stitch along, and it's a new stitch, and yeah, that's the whole point of this. It's other streamers will just stream and just chit chat and just do whatever, and they're not really explaining what they're doing. Mine's more of like a teaching thing, so that's the whole point of doing these new stitches, so people can stitch along if they want to. So anyway, I think that's it for the night. I already said that. That's it for tonight. I will catch you all tomorrow again for Temperature Blanket. You all have a good evening and happy crafting.